Hey, hey, good morning to you. It is Cyndilu here, coming to you from New Zealand. Woohoo! So, today I just was coming to share with you. Hold on, my notes are over here. I knew what I was sharing. I just needed my notes for the points I want to bring out. So, hi, Cyndilu, coming to you, sharing some of my upside down living here down in New Zealand, living with my beloved, who I adore. And today we're going to do the first video, which is where I'm on the third video here, which is actually more like probably the 8th or 10th video because I did some practice ones. But anyway, when I was getting ready to do the very first one, I decided to discuss with my husband, what subject should I do? And we were going through a few, and he's like, oh, you should do the one on, when you get into a little tiff and a little bit of a tiff with your husband, and how to continue to love through that. Well, that little tiff turned into a big tiff, and so I have to add one at the end here about what to do when it turns into a big tiff. But anyway, this is keys to loving even when you're in the middle of a small tiff. So here we go. We have number 1. What is your priority? What is it that you want out of your relationship? Do you want to have a loving relationship? Is that what you're after? Because if it is, you just go ahead and do it. Just love through your marriage and your relationship. If it's first, you're going to be willing to kind of do these other steps. Number 2, see it from both sides. Be willing to realize that you might not be seeing both sides of the story, that you may be looking. There's a story about these two people sitting across the table from each other, and they're both looking at a ball. One side of the ball is red, the other side of the ball is blue, and the people on each side of the table can only see their side of the ball. And they are absolutely 100% completely convinced that the ball is red or the ball is blue. And there's no way they're going to see that they're wrong, that clearly the other person is wrong. Well, sometimes it's just our point of view. We can't see both sides. So be willing to accept the fact that you might not be 100% right. I don't like that one sometimes. Sometimes he's right. And number 3, forgive yourself and forgive your spouse for getting upset, for stepping outside of what you wanted for comfort, and for wanting their own way sometimes, like wanting my own way. I have to forgive myself. And remember that big tiff thing? Yeah, at the end of that, I had to forgive him for walking out of the room when he didn't want to stay in the tiff. I have this big thing about wanting to stay in the conversation and staying in the conversation and continuing to communicate. But sometimes it's better for people to separate themselves. And I had to see both sides of that story and let him go. I don't like that. But it's all good. Which brings us to number 4. It's all good. Laugh it off. Laugh it off. There is nothing worth losing your marriage over when it's a little tiff that turns into a bigger tiff, when it's really about nothing. Like seriously, we were talking about just little tiffs. And then we talked about some of the little tiffs we've had over the years, and one of them, led us into a bigger tiff. But anyway, actually it was just a misunderstanding or complete opposite values in that particular area. And I don't even remember exactly what it was, but see, that's how crazy it is. I don't even remember exactly what it was. Do you remember? He's over there across the room laughing at me. Do you remember what it was about? Why you went off the room? Oh, it was about the car. Oh, that's right. I was actually in pain. So I'll tell you the story because it's actually quite important. I was in pain, and I basically didn't want to admit to myself or to him that I was in so much pain that I couldn't drive a standard manual shift. And he was wanting me to park the car that we have for sale on the side of the road and drive the manual shift. And I just flat refused and didn't really explain why. So when we went back to him later and I explained to him and said I just didn't want to hurt, he understood. He still didn't like it because he still wants us to sell that other car. But he at least was understanding. And so that brings us to number 5. And that is, after the tiff and after you come to the understanding, a hug and a kiss is the best thing to make up. And it is so sweet. They're sweet all the time with him. But after a little tiff and just saying I love you and embracing him is just so good. Well, this was supposed to be a quick thing, and I think it's turned into a little bit longer, but it's all good. I will see you next time here on my live channel. All right. Love you. Bye-bye.